Welcome to More Than Mindset, the only podcast that bridges the gap between spirituality and success. Go beyond the mind with clarity and confidence coach Kim Guillory and learn how to integrate your passion to serve with your skills and experience to create a business you love. Let's get started. Hey. Welcome back to the show. I have a treat for you today. Danielle Perrodin is here with us. She is an integrative life coach who specializes in style and image consulting. She's also a functional medicine pharmacist, and she's here today to talk about her specialty, talk about what she does. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit of personal stuff about Danielle first. So Danielle and I have done coaching together. She came through the integrative life coach program with me, and now I am her client. And I'm so excited. I was like, we have to tell all of the people what's happening here. So I asked her to come on the show to share a few secrets with you guys about how you can feel confident, especially for rising leaders. You guys know who you are. You're the ones who's doing big things in the world, and you're really good at the work that you do. And now it's time to go big. It's time to step onto the stage. It's time to be seen, and you are freaking out. So welcome, Danielle.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And yes, it is definitely quite the change being on the other side of the coaching table.
Yeah, because I'm so easy to coach, right?
It's like trying to teach the teacher. It's quite interesting. That's for sure.
We have a brain. That's all I can say is we have a brain. It believes its thoughts, and it's crazy. It's so crazy. When you're coaching me, I can hear my voice in what you're telling me. And I'm like, but that's not true. Not with me.
Oh, yes. That's your favorite go-to. But I'm different. My brain is different.
Different, guys. You would have had to be with us when she was helping me clean out this closet. What did it take me? 3 weeks?
Yes. Well, so typically I go through the closet in if not the first call, the second, and definitely by the third. Yeah, you were not letting me have access to that closet. You were filling me with lots of lies that you believed yourself, and I bought them. I was in your pool. I totally believed that you had zero clothes that fit you.
You remember the shoe picture? I had no shoes.
That's whenever it was come to Jesus, and I was like, okay, I just need to get in her closet because she has no idea what's going on. There were at least 5 pairs of the identical shoe. And
you said the back row is all the same shoe.
I was like, surely she is seeing what I'm seeing.
Nope, not at all, guys. Your brain, and this is, I think, where Danielle and I fell in love with each other, is the love for the brain. Understanding how you seriously cannot see what you cannot see. It's it's not there. It's like when you're looking for that pencil on your desk, but your thought is oh, it's my favorite pencil. I'm afraid I lost it. I may never find it again. And it's sitting right there in front of you. But because you're thinking that thought, you're in a panic. And it's it's so crazy. That's how it was with my closet. And that's really why I wanted to bring you on and talk to because I can consider myself a thought leader, and I have a brilliant mind, and it's on speed. My brain, it thinks really, really fast. It just fires, right? And yet this story, the stuff that you dig up, the skeletons that you pull out, the light that you shine on this stuff is unbelievable. The change it has made in how I show up in my business and how I show up in public. It's crazy. When I think about the stories about where I started before I started working with you, compared to how I'm thinking now and getting dressed in the morning and, having to show up on live video. And that's really when the pain started, is when I had to present myself visually. I have been in a brick and mortar business for over 20 years. So since 1997. So it was no problem being seen to those who saw me. Mm-hmm. Behind the 4 walls. And I feel these are your people, right? We're doing all of this amazing stuff behind the scenes. They are the pharmacists that are really making the change in the holistic world. They are those thought leaders that have been doing something amazing in the chemistry lab, right? Or in whatever their profession is. And then there comes a time for us to step into leadership. You got to get dressed for that stuff. Who knew?
You have to show up, and all of a sudden you have to deal with some demons. Like you said,
Yes.
shine the flashlight in the corners that you didn't even know were there, cobwebs. I can totally relate because this is why I want to help women like you, because I decided I wanted to go live once a week and talk to my audience and share as I was learning. I was learning the law of attraction. I love the fact that when you teach something, you learn it in a totally different way. And so I was doing that. And yet I could not press record. And I was like, whoa, what is this? I didn't realize that I had such insecurities of being seen.
Did you feel the heat?
Heat and shame. And I didn't realize, I always thought I had the most positive attitude of everyone, all my friends, all my family, all my coworkers. But what I didn't realize were the subconscious thoughts that I was having on repeat about myself.
So good. I think I was so safe behind the four walls of my business. I was successful. I mean, everything I've brought in and tried, from cosmetology all the way to the health coach, life coach, yoga teacher, like all of it, I hid behind the road, like it had hair, nails, tanning. Like that was my funnel. That was like the fake front. That's like the pharmacy, right? It's like you got the sign, heal your pain. But then there's so much that goes on behind all of that, behind the medication, behind the things that are taking place. And I remember when I had to like step out from that and start like, okay, if I don't have the fake business, because what I really was teaching behind the scenes was health and wellness and self-empowerment and just improving your life in general, and really women stepping into the roles of who they were, and not being oppressed and suppressed and, holding themselves small, especially in a rural area here. And it was tough. And I think it's the same exact thing that I had to experience again going online. So the same way I had to start speaking in the local business, not had to, but I chose to start speaking about health and wellness when they were talking about boudin cracklins. And for you guys who are listening who are not Cajun, this is just what they eat. When I started like talking about that, I had so much shame. It's like I was like turning my back on the tribe, like thrown out of the club. So when it came to start putting my face to it online, right? Because that was happening in the local business. But exactly what you said, when I start doing the lives, shame, like when you feel heat in your body, when you go to put out and you feel heat rising, that is shame. Shame is hot.
Yeah, it's that fear of rejection. So your fake business was your security blanket. You can always go hide under it.
I still kind of want it back.
I know, right? It was hard for me to go live, knowing that, I worked in hospital. So it's not that I was in front of the public, but I was in hospital, and hospitals are like a small family to begin with. So I was nervous that someone that I work with would come on and see me and judge me, or, question why I was doing what I was doing. And I remember one time a physician, actually, he was the physician of our pharmacy and therapeutics group. So he was the chairman. And so I saw his name pop up in the feed when it said I was live. And I was like, oh God, talk about get hot. I was burning like fever and just try to compose myself and get off as quickly as I can.
I love that you're saying that, because I had the same thing happen when I was talking about suicide on one of my Facebook lives. And I was talking about like my 20 years of the suicide tendencies and the antidepressants and all that, how it had shut down my emotions. And my doctor, who was actually my doctor at the time, like popped up on my life. And I was like, freak. Like, yeah. Oh my God, I'm going to get arrested. Right? It's so crazy.
Right. Because you already you feel like an imposter, number one, yourself. And then when you're just now starting to grow into this new identity and accept her, then you see someone else that you're like, it's almost like you're in their mind. And so all of the nurses that watched me, they would just cheer me on. And like I had some that quit smoking, lost weight just by watching my live videos once a week.
Guys, whenever, this is what I experienced, and I think you're saying the same thing, is whenever you're experiencing the shame, it's because you're serving yourself. You're not serving your client. Right. You are totally thinking about yourself and how you're going to look and how you're going to show up and how people are thinking about you. And when we focus our mind, just like in this interview right here, this is the very first interview I do. And you and I both went into this with the intention of what's something that they can take away from it? How can we serve? And as soon as we dropped into that, like, it was like, let's see, what can we give? Doesn't matter what we look like. Doesn't matter what we sound like.
Who can we help? What do we have to offer? Yep.
just by being ourselves, just by having a casual conversation and sharing, especially these heartfelt experiences that were so tough. Because, for me, like I have 5 children, husband, 2 business and all that stuff, but nothing as important as the work I do in the world. Like for me, my heartthrob, what makes me feel satisfied, fulfilled, coming alive. And I know this is for your particular clients also, right? Because like we are like the rising leaders. We are the ones we're on the front line saying, hey, that might be true, but this might be true also. Like this is what we figured out, but it hasn't been documented. It hasn't been like we're the trendsetters. We're the ones like lighting the fire. We're creating the bonfires. And so, yeah, it's going to bring up all of that stuff. It's super scary, super scary. And I think what I was surprised by is I had already experienced like the discomfort in the brick and mortar and had already experienced when I start moving into the health and wellness. I was kind of surprised I was going to experience it again online. Like I was mind blown. I mean, we know how we do anything is how we do everything. And we know that our crap story is going to come up every time we up level, but I somehow forgot. And I'll share the story with you and I. So I think when I called you, I had already caught on to the insecurities. You had called me out on it a few times. You loved what I was teaching and coaching. I mean, you're one of my clients and you could see where my limitations were. And I was fighting it and resisting it. And it didn't matter what I looked like. None of that mattered, right? I just wanted to be casual and, as easy as possible and not being seen. And then I was nominated for Woman of the Year. And in the same week, like I was receiving an award for the top earner in the life coach school. Like that was all happening within a week span. And I freaked out. I freaked out because my story. I have nothing to wear.
Yes, I know that story all too well. And whenever that came up with the clothing, I recognized it immediately because we had discussions before where, I helped coach you before on other issues. And so I knew it was that FOMO, fear of running out, that you had. So you felt like there was never anything to wear and then you would buy. And a lot of times you were repeating and you had absolutely no idea what was in your closet, first of all, to go shopping. And so you were just afraid you were going to run out. Instead of buying 1, you bought 2 of the same thing when you probably had 3 of the exact same thing already in your closet. And so of course you had no idea what to wear because you, number 1, couldn't find it. Number 2, there was just too much clutter and crap. No wonder.
Yeah. And while I was shopping, like when I was at the store, I would like pick it up. Like I would buy it in case I needed it because I knew I would like never be able to find, like I can't ever find anything. So if I found something, like I had to buy it because I knew I'd never find it again. And so I kept buying it. And I noticed myself repeatedly giving things to the church with tags on it. Like my kids, if my kids are listening to this, they can validate it. But like I would give away like 12 pair of shoes, not like a pair of shoes, right? Never worn. Mm-hmm. And it was the same thing with like shirts that still had tags on them. And, I would get stuff from Stitch Fix because I didn't know how to shop. I couldn't find anything. So I had to get someone else to do it. Then I hired this lady from somewhere else to send me things. Like really, guys, it was insane how I think I may have been extreme.
Well, you're not the only one. So many women do this and they validate themselves that they're given to charity and they're helping out. So
that part actually made me sick. That's really where the pain started. When I noticed I kept calling the church or kept giving it to, that part was literally making me sick to my stomach, but I couldn't let go of the story because I couldn't see the story. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, there was nothing to fit me. I'm telling you, they could have like made me choose life or death to let that story go. And I would not have. Mm-hmm. And the work I had to do, the internal work, and the shift was really to go back to the story when I did not have a parent to take me shopping, when I had nothing to wear, or whenever my friends would go to the mall or buy new shirts. Like it was so real. I was still carrying all those beliefs. And so I would go to the store. My daughter-in-law was laughing at me because I had so many of these little booties and so many colors of boots, but I never had anything to wear. And I think it was really trusting you and the way you handled me. And you allowed it to just take your time and don't be in a hurry. And let's just start with this one little thing. And I fought you. I was like ready to get it all. Like I was like, nope, we need to throw it all. And then we need to start. And the way you handled my brain, I was able to drop the resistance and at some point trust you. But it took a while. And you told me several times, like, you're still not listening, Kelm. You're not like, if I'm not mistaken, when I first asked you to coach, you were like, oh.
Because I had coached you before. And I know how you do things. And you just take one piece of material and you take off with it. And you're like, okay, I got this. And you try to swim on your own. It doesn't help with the process. But
Which
that
is exactly, let's stay here for a second. Let me cut you off for a second if you don't mind, but let's really stay here because I believe these thought leaders, these rising leaders, I believe that is how something that we can identify ourselves as. Like, we're like, just give me the little taste and we're going to like figure it out. Totally got it on our own. Mm-hmm. Right? Just tell me what I'm missing. Do you find that familiarity?
Yes, I do. And I was guilty as well with that. You want the information, tell me how, and then I'll take it off and go do it on my own. But you need that support because it's hard.
Now, I've been doing this personal development work forever. Seriously, like I could totally have figured it out on my own. I mean, I had all of the resources. Why didn't I? Right. I truly believe it's the skill set. And I know from our work together what that skill set is. And I think it took that for me to trust it. Mm-hmm. Like I knew I had this secret ingredient, and it worked for everything else. And I'm like, well, she knows it. It'll probably work for it was so hardcore. But I'll tell you what made the biggest change. And I'm speaking to those other like rising leaders who are like me, who we are so super smart and we can figure out anything. And if we're so smart, why can't we get beyond this? Why do we still feel the heat and shame in our body? And it's truly because of the in-between work that you do, that inner work that you took me through and allowed me to take as long as it took. And the thing, and I don't want to like say all of your process, but it was when you kept not letting me go ahead.
Yes. And I think that's what's so different about my process because there are some great programs out there and they work, I'm sure, very well. But for me, with any area of my life, there was just this taking it slow, breaking it down to small bite-sized pieces that just was the key factor for me long ago. And that's why I'm, show up and help women. But we don't just dump out your closet and go through everything in 3 or 4 hours. Yes, you did. And I
really wanted to. Like I even went against your wishes and I even did it.
You did. And that's great. But I had to rein you back in because that could be so much overwhelm. And if you don't pay attention and you're not present and aware, you miss the lessons.
I'm like, but I'm so tough. I can totally just wipe it all out and deal with it. Like I know how to process emotion. I got it. And you were like, okay, she's been trained well.
I have been trained very well. And really what I had told you was that you can hire a stylist to come and do this. They have stylists that come and clean out your closet, but you're going to be dependent on that stylist for the rest of your life. Yes. So I show you how to transform your own closet.
The money to save, like the money even to be saved. I can't even imagine how much money I will save because I don't have to buy something every time I go. And guys, you have to know I hate to shop, like hate it. So when I would go, I would try to get it over with. So I would like buy a whole bunch of stuff so I would never have to do it again. If I found one that fit, because my belief was I'll never find anything that fits me, nothing fits me right. If I did find something that fit, I got every single color. Cardigans, when you asked me to pull out the top, the cardigans, and I was like, oh, I probably have like, how many did I say? Like a dozen. You're like, okay, surely she's exaggerating. And that at number 10, you were like, okay, I believe you.
I'm like, okay, we've already processed the same item 10 times. So we're good. Just like apply to the rest of them.
Just different colors, right? Just different colors. And so that's the kind of thing that, and it was pointed out to me, like my kids were noticing, my friend, like people had pointed it out. Like you remember the shirt, like the one that I had with the yoga shirt? I had like 10 of them. Like it was every single color. And then that was in the thick fabric. Then in the thin fabric, same exact shirt, I had like all of the other colors. And it was so hard. So I'm like embarrassed. I'm kind of like heated. I'm hot.
You're sweating now. You're okay.
Thinking about the shame of it. But that's like, I really wanted to come on and talk about the transformation of this because it has been so impactful. And I know I send you texts all the time. Like I feel like I'm half of my body weight. And I missed like family weddings. I missed like important funerals. I missed like grandchildren's birthday party because I had so much shame about what not to wear, not being comfortable in my own body, not being comfortable in my own skin, but just the clothes. And for sure, I didn't have anything to wear. Total lie. Like, is it insane that the mind comes up with that? Like the most important things in my life. And then like loving my work and being so satisfied and fulfilled and actually being honored, getting the recognition. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't handle it. And so I had these two beliefs going on like, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. I have something important and don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me.
Mm-hmm.
My son said, Mom, I was so surprised that because my husband is not social. Well, I'm kind of social within my work, but I'm not really like social out there, but he's not at all. He doesn't like need people. And so we get there and she was like, Dad was like talking to everyone and you were hiding in a corner. And like you were the guest of honor. I was sweating, Danielle. And like, I know Mallory was listening to this. Mallory was sitting at my table. It was like unbelievable. I could not get up. I did not introduce myself to anyone. And they kept coming in and like mentoring me to meet people. And I would say hello and I'd run back to that seat. And I made sure I was against a wall so I could see the stage, but there was no one behind me.
Right. And that's with anything in life, that it has to get so bad and you have to be so desperate that you'll get out of that comfort zone to make a change. So with any transformation, it's hard work. It's not for the weak. You have to show up.
I kept bypassing it because I went through this. This started before high school. So I'll just tell you how long it went. And it showed up at homecomings for my kids, at graduations, at senior trip. And I have 5 kids. So we went through a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It showed up every single time. And I just kept white knuckling it and I just kept willpowering it. And then when I noticed that like the awards were getting bigger, the sweat and the heat and the shame was getting bigger. It just didn't make sense.
It was as if you had solved all the problems in your life, except for this one was unsolvable and you had to accept it.
Which was being me. The one was like being the me who was doing the thing. It was okay for me to do it, but it was not okay for me to be seen doing it.
As the face of it. And that is what I'm trying to help entrepreneurs right now is, in this day and age, we have this huge platform where you could reach millions and millions of people to get your word out. And if you know that you are going to impact so many people, you have a strong desire. Because let's just face it, if it was just for you, you would not be interested in going live. You'd be like everyone else and not do it. But when you have this calling and you want to reach more people, then you have 2 desires. You have a desire to be seen and heard, get your message out, and then you have a desire to hide and not be seen. And it's so painful. And what I have learned this last year is that pain comes from the contrast of who you truly are and the thoughts that you're having about yourself. And that's where the pain comes in.
Yeah. Judgment and comparison. It's just of ourselves.
Right. Judgment and comparison is so painful. But if you could start to recognize that pain as an indicator. So I like to think of it as an indicator in like check engine light in your car. So it's just on. You could keep driving your car, but you may have issues down the road. And so then the pain is the indicator. And then you question.
Inquiry.
What are my thoughts that's in contrast to who I believe I am?
And you know how long it took me? Because a year before that, or right at a year, right? When I did I went online, I was like, hey, I need this style coach or this fashion coach. Like I knew there was a problem. You remember that? I have to fix this problem. And of course, my belief is it's not available for me. I don't have what I need. And so it's like, I will train someone to be this person for me. Like I really need, it's not available. I can't have it. It's like kind of like going shopping. There's surely not going to be anything that fits. And so I put that out there and it's like, so a few people answered and we tried, but how long was that before I actually every single event, and these are not the first things I was like nominated for or shown up for, and I was having this issue. Every single one I said, this is it. This will never happen again. Every time I had to do a photo shoot, every time I went to an event, this will never happen again. Kim, you're going to get this. We have to get this. And I would try to be compassionate with myself. But I swear to you, I did not have the tools to get it. I didn't have the tools that you showed me. Is that crazy? Like in the training and stuff and all of the stuff that we've shared together, I could not see it without someone else.
Yeah, it's the protection. Yeah, your brain is protecting you. And it was like holding on tight. It reminds me of at the last retreat, whenever we did that session. And I was working through not being seen and wanting to be seen. And I had a block, a veil, and we worked through it. I was able to let go, but then there was a second one that showed up. And I could not let it go, even though I was thinking of it. I had to. It was very hard.
Beyond the nervous system. Yeah, you got to be able to get beyond that.
It was difficult.
And that's where, I wrote about this in the book. It's like you have to get to that T in the road to where the pain of moving forward exceeds the pain of now. And that's truly what had happened. Like I was willing to experience whatever I had to experience. I don't know if it could have been anybody else but you, to be honest. It took a lot. And, it was tough. It was hard to turn the roles to go from the coach to the client, that's my own stuff, But at the same time, I was like, how long do you want to hold on to this? Like, just like I would have asked you, like, how long do you want to suffer through this? How long do you want to keep this? And I heard in my head, like, it's time. It's my time. It's time. Like, people need this. I need to get out there and get this. And this is the thing that's stopping me. And this is the crazy part too, because I'm not in lack. I can buy whatever I want. I can buy whatever clothes. So it's not about waste.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I want to cry now when I talk about it, but it was like, I had so much compassion for her who didn't have it when she needed it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was so hard to let go of, was like, but she might need it. If I get rid of it, if I move it, it was so still real, and to be free from that, preteen, all the way through high school and then through the early stages, with my children, with their, like that part where you're actually coming out as who you are. And I didn't have the guidance. I remember sitting at my desk. I knew I needed a bra. Like, this is crazy to talk about on the podcast, but it's like, I just got embarrassed and I was like, who do you go to ask for this? So it's like clothes was such, and like wearing and dressing was such a big deal, and not having like a parent or parents it's a part of our growing. We don't see the importance, like the teenagers or the young kids and what they wear. You see this, like I remember my granddaughter, Ella, she has these, I think it's like pink cowboy boots, or like even at a young little kid, like that is her expression. I missed all of that. And I'm wondering how many of us missed that. Like in our case, we had 4 kids, the house burnt, and they had to wear what people gave us. We had no money and we had to clothe, And so I'm wondering if that,
it's definitely, we're creative human beings, and we just feel like we're growing whenever being creative. We just feel fulfillment. I mean, that's definitely something that I get what you're saying. Like, you didn't have the items, but just like someone who doesn't have crayons, they could color with fruit. They can have that. But I think your story was so locked into that. And you can tell now just how emotional you get into it, is that, and it goes deeper than that. It goes into why.
Where's the shame of representation? Or when you are in high school and you are different, so much shame from that, right? And that was still locked in my body.
Right.
And so
it was your story.
Logically, I knew it. I had plenty of money. I could have bought whatever I wanted. But because there was nothing, because that was my thought, there was surely nothing. It didn't matter. I didn't give away like cheap clothes. Like, I'm telling you, I would go to the store, literally. I remember going here in Ellick, and I told the lady, I was like, if you find something that looks good on me, I will buy whatever you put. That was quite a few years ago. So that, it just tells you how long this has been going on. So I can't say enough about how grateful I am. And I know I tell you that all the time. I'm sending messages, and I was like, we've got to get you on, because I know there are other people like me that have this block, and it's actually preventing what they have to offer the world and getting it out there to the people they need it. And that is number one, what this podcast is about. It was like, how can we show up and offer something that is different and unique, provide resources, and talk about things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it was an honor to, support you in this way, for sure. But you showed up and you did the hard work, as difficult as.
And they were laughing because like, I'm heading to Atlanta, and I was telling her, and I was like, no, I just got an email that like I've been invited to a special dinner for like an achievement. And I'm like, no, what are we going to do? And she's like, we got it. We got it. Tell us, I say us, tell these other rising leaders, these entrepreneurs that are hiding behind the 4 walls, that are hiding behind the pharmacy counter, that are like they've been doing their work. They put their 10, 20 years in. They have something unique and special. They have something different. They are ready to go on the front line. They are the thought leaders. They are bringing in holistic with med, because that's a big part of what you do, right? It's like you still have your foot in the pharmacy world. And a lot of the clients that you work with, they are pharmacists. They are functional pharmacists, and they're actually bringing in the holistic lifestyle to integrate with that. And they're actually the educators and the teachers and the leaders of it. So they need this representation, and that's why they're coming to you. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. They want to be seen. They want to get their message out there. And unfortunately, you can't do it hiding on your sofa. I like to talk about Steve Jobs because, he had a very minimalistic wardrobe. He did not have to think at all about what he was wearing, but he was already, he already had Apple and all of that to, people knew who he was. So you have to get there. And then once you get there, you could show up and dress, however you feel. But in the meantime, we need you to become that woman now.
I think the creative expression is part of it's important. I'm telling you,
Well,
as a healer who does inner work, I didn't think it mattered at all. And I know that's what holistic health and wellness leaders, we know the magic is in like the energy work. It is like it is in the other. And so I've totally wrote off the importance, but we're on an online world. It's not going to work. You or your brand and the way you show up and the image that you represent and that creative expression. Like, are you the girl in pink? Are you the girl in green? Are you that part I'm talking about that brought me to tears earlier that I had never figured out? I was like plain Jane, don't want to stand out. I don't want anyone to see me. Right. That was always the plan, been the plan for 40 years. And then all of a sudden you want to be seen. Like, what do you like? I was like, I have no idea.
your style is your message, and your message is going to attract your ideal clients, your tribe, those that need you most. And, so what is that?
Brand.
Are you soft? Are you edgy? Are you confident? Are you fun, flirty? There's so many,
That was so fun when you asked me those questions. And she does this, guys. Like she would send me the stuff to answer. And of course I would like not want to do my homework. I'm like, I don't have to do my homework. I'm smarter than that. Like just ask me the question. Like, Kim, there's a process. And you're like not following. I'm like, oh, it was so hard. Game changer, but hard, right? So you said you were going to talk about like the 3 F's of fashion and give them a secret. Just what do you want to tell them?
So what I wanted to share with your listeners are the 3 F's of fashion, because I think if you can make it simple, that's part of my thing is make it simple, make it easy, because that's just how our brains are. So the 3 F's of fashion are fit, feelings, and function. So you just have to really break it down into those 3 categories. If you're not thinking of those 3 things, then that's probably why you don't have anything to wear. So fit, as that's pretty self-explanatory. It has to fit. It needs to be your size. And I think a lot of women are still dressing, their size that they were a year ago or trying to. And so when they go into the dressing room and they used to be a size 4 and they try the size 4s and they're really a size 8 now, that's going to make them feel like crap and they're not going to find anything to wear. But also if you lost 100 pounds and you go into the dressing room, your brain, a lot of times you're still in that identity of that larger size. And so you try on all kinds of bigger clothes, or you still want to hide your body. And, fit is everything. It's just not going to work. So that's something that we have to work on, and get your clothes that fit you. Get the clothes that, highlight your best features. What do you love about yourself? Not necessarily what I think is your best feature, but what do you love about yourself, and highlight those areas. The other thing is feelings. So I want my clients to, I say, be her now. So that is my biggest secret. It's how do you want to feel when you become her? And then we create that feeling in you now. And then you work to become her and close that gap between where you are now and where you want to go. But the feelings are everything. And that's where we get into, how do you want your clothes to make you feel? Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel comfortable? What is most important to you? So I had a client who, she likes to feel edgy. Like she drives Harley Davidsons and it's, she goes to Renaissance festivals and she does all this fun stuff. But then if you looked at her closet, it said nothing about that except for maybe a couple of items she loved. But then she had no clue how to wear them. She had nothing to wear with them. And so that was a big, big aha moment for her. So that was fun. If you're a marathon runner 3 days out of the week, then you need clothes to run in. You don't need a power suit necessarily, but it's just understanding how those clothes fit you, how you want to feel showing up, and, what your true day-to-day life looks like.
Yeah, this is really good. And you stayed on like every single shirt I tried on. You were like, who are you buying this for? Like, oh my God, it's like you're wearing a tent. What is happening here? It's like it was crazy.
And I was guilty. I had the size shirts and I thought I was rocking them, hiding the areas that I wanted to hide. But what it really actually does, it brings more attention. And it makes
I was like, it does, but I can't find anything that fits. You're like, well, that doesn't fit either. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Like there was just some things that were really simple, but you were able to bring them in. And the feeling, oh hell, like I remember that too. It's like, it felt terrible, but I wasn't aware because I wasn't focused on that. You know what I thought was supposed to be like comfortable? It was not comfortable to being something that didn't fit. It was not comfortable to feel ugly in the clothes. Like that was not comfortable. I was totally fooling myself.
You're right. You were literally not comfortable in your skin and you were proving it to everyone.
Yes. I remember when I was waiting for my name to be called on stage at the mastermind, and I was like, listen, this is the last time you're ever going to feel like this, baby. Done with this. And you can let it go right now. Exactly what you said. You can be her right now. And really dropping into that. And I practiced for the next couple of days because, you know, the peers would come up to me and tell me congratulations. And my job was receive. Could you just receive that and drop in? Because what's the norm? Like we immediately go into rationalizing and saying how we weren't comfortable and how we don't know how we did, or that was the norm, right? And I truly just, and that comes back to that feeling. I felt like appreciation for myself, for the work I did, for the recognition I was receiving.
What I learned early on is that when someone congratulates you or compliments you, you know, we have that resistance to it, but it gives more attention to ourselves. So if we're like, oh, this old thing, or I'm ugly, or, you know, whatever it is, it's more attention about yourself. But instead, you know, they congratulated, they complimented you. If you tell them thank you and have appreciation, that's about them.
That's
You're
right.
honoring them and their action.
I could talk another hour because the one last thing I want to mention is like, when I saw a picture of myself, it's not what I saw in my head. And that was like starting to freak me out, like how often I was seeing that and that blurred self-image. And I don't know if you said it or I said it, but it was suddenly this moment of like, actually, I'm not that out of proportion from the rest of the world. Like, but I had been seeing that I was. Like I was way taller than anyone else. My feet were way bigger. My hips didn't match my show. You know, like I had all of these. And you wouldn't let up. And you're like, actually, you're just going to be her now. And we're going to fit her right now. I tried on jeans that had moved, the ones when you told me not to, like that I had moved and gotten rid of because I was so overwhelmed. And I was like, how is it that I told you a couple of weeks ago, like I had this, I called it back fat. And like I had put on all this weight, but those jeans still fit. Like it didn't make sense. It started like the evidence started outweighing those old stories. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's also, you know, I don't weigh myself, but if I think that I'm not showing up, I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, I'm eating bad or, you know, just not exercising, in my mind, I've already added 5 pounds.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like I thought that would be a great takeaway for people to understand is when we think that, we create that. And I'm like, what's happening?
Getting you back in your body, out of your head. That's all it took.
So we're going to wrap this up and let these guys know, where can they find you? Like just.
Yeah, I'm having fun exploring LinkedIn. You can find me. I have a website. It's danielleperrodin.biz. And you could just, you know, contact me. Just reach out.
So who are we calling out to here? Who do you work with specifically?
So I work with entrepreneurs who want to be seen, want to be the face of the brand. They understand the importance of showing up and giving the right message to their ideal clients. And they want to make a huge impact on the world. They're making a difference and they want some support.
Alrighty, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, Danielle, for coming on. It was super fun. I hope I didn't drown out the story. I know I had a lot of story here, but I had so much drama.
No, it's been great. I had so much fun working with you, and I cannot wait to go shopping for formals.
I know. It's going to be cool. All right, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of More Than Mindset. If you're feeling stuck on your journey to health, wealth, and relationships, head over to www.portal.kimguillory.com to learn more about the portal. It's a membership community where we take this work deeper, apply the concepts, and coach around the tough stuff.